Chapter 1. Locking Dragon Well. Calling all supporting characters and mysterious demons. If anyone has ideas, feel free to leave comments. I will consider them. Brothers, without further ado, today I'll show you what it means to scientifically debunk feudal superstitions. The night was as dark as ink in the wild outskirts. Shen Yuzhou adjusted his phone stand, aiming the lens at the ancient well behind him, which had been eroded by time to an unrecognizable state. The wellhead was surrounded by huge blue stone slabs, covered in slippery green moss, with several rusty thick iron chains, one end disappearing into the well, while the other was deeply nailed to the ground, as if locking away some unparalleled fierce object. This was the infamous Locking Dragon Well on the outskirts of Hangzhou. Less than 3 minutes into the broadcast, the popularity in the live room skyrocketed like a rocket, surpassing 100,000. The barrage of comments rolled in so fast that it was hard to read. Wow, the host is a real man. He really dares to live stream here? 666. Just with his courage, let's send rockets. The host is so handsome. Young man, please be careful. I've heard this place is very sinister. TCH, a bunch of feudal remnants. What era is it to still believe in this? I bet a pack of spicy strips that it's just a normal dry well. Exactly, a dragon? Who has ever seen one? It's the most special among the 12 zodiac signs. I think it's just ancient people making things up. Seeing the debate in the comments, Shen Yuzhou's lips curled up slightly. This was the effect he wanted. For 4 years in college, he had watched the internet live streaming industry flourish, and he had long wanted to get involved. But the competition was fierce game streamers, beauty streamers. He had no advantage. Wait, that's not right. He might have a bit of chance as a beauty streamer. However, compared to making a living with his looks, he preferred to showcase his talents, but he had thought long and hard about what that talent would be. Until a few days ago, he saw discussions about dragons online, and inspiration struck him as a well-bred descendant of a Taoist family. He had listened to his grandfather talk about slaying demons and exorcising evil, and feng shui dragon veins since he was a child. But growing up, he had never even seen a ghost. He was a pure materialist, scoffing at the stuff at home. This time, he was going to use the most modern method to unravel the oldest mysteries. With a midnight well exploration livestream, he would fire the first shot to make a name for himself. Thanks to the top supporter for the rockets. Don't worry guys, I prepared professional diving equipment. I must go to the bottom today to show you whether there's really a dragon in this well. Shen Yuzhou patted the brand new diving suit and oxygen tank beside him, quickly getting dressed. He was tall and handsome, and under the spotlight of the live stream, he looked even more heroic. The host looks so cool in the diving suit. With his looks, he could be a star. Why does he want to risk his life? Hurry up and go down. I can't wait to see the host debunk this. The popularity was rapidly climbing. 200,000, 300,000, 500,000. Shen Yuzhou took a deep breath, put on his diving mask and headlamp, and gave an okay gesture to the camera. Brothers, I'm going down. He grabbed the cold iron chain and nimbly flipped into the well. Splash! The icy well water instantly enveloped his entire body, a chill seeping into his pores. Shen Yuzhou shivered and cursed in his heart. The well water was much colder than he had imagined. He turned on the headlamp, and a pale beam of light pierced the darkness. Illuminating only about a meter in front of him, further away, was an unfathomable gloom. The live stream image swayed with his perspective, and the atmosphere instantly became tense. It looks so dark and scary. Is a host okay? If it's too much, just come back up. Don't risk your life for views. What's there to be afraid of? Keep going. I want to see the dragon. Shen Yuzhou steadied his nerves and continued to dive down along the iron chain. 10 meters, 20 meters. The well walls were smooth, covered in slimy moss, the texture making him feel nauseous. He thought the well wouldn't be too deep, but he had dived down at least 30 or 40 meters and still showed no signs of reaching the bottom. What was even stranger was that he felt the surrounding space seemed to be getting wider. This was not a straight-up hand-down well at all. He swept the headlamp around. Where the light reached, his scalp instantly tingled. 1, 2, 3. Countless iron chains, thicker than his thighs, extended from the surrounding darkness, converging in the even deeper gloom below. These iron chains were covered in densely packed runes, shimmering with a strange dark red light under the illumination, as if they were really suppressing something. A wave of inexplicable heart palpitations surged over him. Shen Yuzhou's breath involuntarily quickened. What the hell is that? So many chains. This can't be special effects, right? Is there another world beneath this well? Host, run. I feel something's off. My dog is barking. Call the police. It feels like something bad is going to happen. Shen Yuzhou looked at the barrage, forcibly suppressing his inner unease, and forced a smile. Don't panic, guys. It's probably just some water conservancy facilities. It's nothing. Even as he said this, his voice in the helmet had already taken on a barely perceptible tremor. At that moment, he felt the water behind him suddenly shift. It was as if some enormous creature silently swam past behind him. The pressure brought by the water made all the hairs on his body stand on end. He slowly turned around. Then he saw it. A pair of golden vertical pupils like two enormous red lanterns. Less than 5 meters in front of him, they lit up from the endless darkness, cold, imposing, devoid of any emotion, locking onto him tightly. Ah shit. Shen Yuzhou's mind went blank, forgetting even the fear, leaving only the most primitive shock. The livestream room exploded at this moment. Dragon. It's the eyes of dragon. My God, there really is a dragon. Host, run out. Call the police. Quickly call the police to save him. The next second, the livestream screen suddenly went black. The livestream you're watching has been interrupted. Meanwhile, in an inconspicuous building in Hangzhou, alarms blared throughout. Report. Monitoring detected an ultra-high energy response in the Locking Dragon Well area. Energy levels class. Target locked. Signs of Zhu Long awakening have exceeded the threshold. Quick. 7th Action Team. Deploy immediately. At all costs, seal off the scene. Shen Yuzhou was completely unaware of all this. All he knew was that he was doomed this time. Just as he thought he would be torn apart by the owner of those eyes, a majestic and ancient voice rang directly in his mind. This voice ignored the water's barrier, crystal clear. Shen family bloodline, I can smell it. Shen Yuzhou trembled all over. Shen family? Could it be allies? Just as he was about to breathe a sigh of relief, the voice suddenly turned brutal and vengeful. I will never forget this aura. Shen Tianjun. It's that damned bastard who has suppressed me here for 3,000 years. Today, I will take your descendants' blood as a sacrifice to repay my 1,000-year hatred. Before the words fell, a massive head, blocking out the sky, suddenly lunged out from the darkness, opening a blood-filled mouth wide enough to swallow a truck. A gust of foul wind rushed at him, sharp teeth like swords. It's over. Shen Yuzhou despairingly closed his eyes. Grandpa, what you said was all true, but unfortunately, I found out too late. This critical moment, the ancestral jade pendant that had been worn since childhood suddenly erupted. With a dazzling white light brighter than the sun, boom, the light instantly illuminated the entire underwater space, revealing a long, menacing black dragon, pierced through its body by countless rune iron chains, locked in the center of the massive cave. And that brilliant white light was desperately holding back its massive mouth, which was about to close. Roar! The black dragon let out a thunderous roar of pain, filled with unwillingness and rage. Shen Tianjun, you old bastard, you plotted against me. Then, Shen Yuzhou's vision went black, and he completely lost consciousness. After an unknown period of time, Shen Yuzhou slowly awakened to the smell of disinfectant. A white ceiling, white sheets. Is this a hospital? I didn't die. He struggled to sit up, but a heart-wrenching burning pain shot through his chest. Hiss! He suddenly tore open the hospital gown at his chest. In the next second, his pupils suddenly constricted. He saw that on his smooth chest, there was an unfamiliar tattoo. A fierce black divine dragon coiled above his heart, its body strong, its scales terrifying, the dragon's head facing his face, its golden dragon eyes, vivid and lifelike, as if coming to life, coldly staring at him. What? What is going on? Just as he was filled with horror, a familiar yet terrifying voice rang directly in the depths of his mind. Kid, stop looking. From now on, we are one. It was the voice of that black dragon. Shen Yuzhou felt a chill run down his spine, as if he had fallen into an ice cave. Creak. The door of the ward was suddenly pushed open with an irresistible force. Chapter 2. Negotiation. The door was forcefully pushed open. An elderly man, tall and straight like a pine tree, walked in with a chilling aura. His hair was gray, meticulously combed, and his square face was lined with deep creases marked by the hardships of time. At this moment, His deep-set eyes were burning with uncontrollable anger. The visitor was Shen Yuzhou's grandfather, Shen Qingfeng. "You ungrateful wretch!" A thunderous roar echoed in the quiet ward, shaking Shen Yuzhou's eardrums. That familiar pressure, which had always appeared whenever he made mistakes since childhood, instantly tensed his body. "Grandpa," Shen Yuzhou's voice was a bit hoarse. He could never have imagined that his grandfather would appear here. Shen Qingfeng quickly stepped to the bedside, his sharp gaze fixed on him as if trying to see through him. "You still know to call me Grandpa?" Shen Qingfeng's chest heaved with rage, his fingers shaking as he pointed at Shen Yuzhou. "How have I taught you since you were little? To be law-abiding and not to get involved with those supernatural things. And you took my words lightly and went to the dragon locking well to do some live streaming. Do you know that if it weren't for the 7th Action Team arriving in time, you would have been reduced to nothing but bone dust?" Every word was like a heavy hammer wrapped in ice shards, striking hard at Shen Yuzhou's heart. "The 7th Action Team? What is that?" Shen Yuzhou's mind was in chaos, but the fear and anger in his grandfather's words were all too real. He had never seen his grandfather lose his composure like this. Throughout his life, his grandfather had always been the calm figure who remained unshaken even in the face of disaster. "Grandpa, I was wrong." Faced with his grandfather's thunderous wrath, Shen Yuzhou instinctively lowered his head in apology, his voice filled with guilt. In the past, he had scoffed at the rules his grandfather spoke of now. He had personally verified that they were not superstitions, but lessons learned with lives. "Wrong?" Shen Qingfeng let out a cold laugh, but his anger did not diminish in the slightest. "Is saying I was wrong enough? Do you know what kind of disaster you've caused? What have you brought back?" As he spoke, his voice suddenly rose, his gaze like lightning, locking onto the position of Shen Yuzhou's heart. Even through the thin hospital gown, he could still feel the chilling dragon energy that made even him tremble. Shen Yuzhou shivered. He knew he couldn't hide it anymore. That damned black dragon inside him would definitely not escape his grandfather's eyes. Taking a deep breath, as if making a certain determination, he raised his head and looked directly into his grandfather's eyes. "Grandpa, that dragon, His words were difficult, as if a piece of hot iron was stuck in his throat. "It is now in my body." After speaking, he trembled as he ripped open the hospital gown at his chest. The soft light in the ward instantly illuminated his smooth and well-defined chest. And there, coiled above his heart, was the lifelike black dragon tattoo. That dragon seemed alive. Its pitch-black scales shimmered with a cold sheen under the light, each one clearly visible. The powerful dragon body coiled into a strange circular shape, firmly protecting his heart at the center. Most chilling was the fierce dragon head. It faced Shen Yuzhou, its golden vertical pupils seemingly penetrating through skin and flesh, silently locking eyes with Shen Qingfeng in the ward. Cold, proud, filled with disdain. Shen Qingfeng's pupils suddenly constricted to the size of pinpoints upon seeing the tattoo. The anger on his face was like being doused with a bucket of ice water. Instantly extinguished, replaced by unprecedented shock and seriousness, he reached out, seemingly wanting to touch it. But his fingertips halted just an inch away from Shen Yuzhou's skin, as if something incredibly dangerous was coiled there, making him feel an immense sense of caution. This is the ancient soul bond of coexistence. Shen Qingfeng's voice was dry and hoarse, carrying a hint of disbelief. It's not completely dead yet, and it knows how to form a soul contract with you." The air in the ward seemed to freeze at that moment. After a long time, Shen Qingfeng let out a long, deep sigh. That sigh seemed to drain all his strength, causing his once straight spine to slightly hunch. He slowly withdrew his hand, walked to the window, turned his back to Shen Yuzhou, gazing out at the myriad lights of the city, lost in a long silence. In the entire ward, only Shen Yuzhou's rapid heartbeat and the cold laughter of the voice in his mind remained. This old man still has some insight. At this moment, Shen Yuzhou had no mood to respond to it. He looked at his grandfather's desolate back. A wave of indescribable sorrow and fear surged in his heart. He would rather his grandfather scold him harshly again, or even hit him, than have this suffocating silence. After an unknown period of time, Shen Qingfeng slowly turned around. The shock and anger on his face had completely faded, leaving behind a profound, complex emotion that Shen Yuzhou could not comprehend. "Yuzhou, this is both your calamity and perhaps your opportunity." His voice calmed down, yet it carried an irresistible sense of destiny. I originally wanted you to live a normal life, safe and sound, away from these violent and filthy matters. Unexpectedly, man proposes, but God disposes. You have ultimately been drawn in. This may be the fate of our Shen family. Shen Yuzhou was stunned. His grandfather's words carried too much information. The fate of the Shen family? Could it be that our family is really not an ordinary Taoist family? Just as he was filled with confusion, Shen Qingfeng suddenly took out an object from the inner pocket of his dark Zhongshan suit. It was a piece of wood the size of a palm, carved into the shape of a fish, displaying a deep reddish-brown color throughout, covered with dense, ancient runes that were neither seal script nor clerical script, exuding a faint sandalwood fragrance that calmed the mind and spirit. A wooden fish. Shen Yuzhou was somewhat bewildered. He saw Shen Qingfeng holding the wooden fish in one hand, while the other hand formed a sword finger, beginning to chant incantations. The syllables he recited were ancient and difficult, belonging to none of the languages known to Shen Yuzhou. As he chanted, a visible, warm, jade-like golden halo began to emerge from the small wooden fish. A little trick to summon the gods. The voice in his mind was filled with disdain. However, Shen Qingfeng paid no heed. His gaze suddenly sharpened, fixated on the black dragon in Shen Yuzhou's chest. Dragon Lord, lurking in my grandson's body, what kind of hero are you? Since you are awake, why not show yourself? I, Shen Qingfeng, wish to have a word with you. As the words fell, he sharply knocked on the wooden fish with his sword finger. Boom! A muffled sound echoed. The sound was not loud, but it seemed to resonate not through the air, but directly within the depths of Shen Yuzhou's soul. In an instant, Shen Yuzhou felt an irresistible, immense force surging from deep within his limbs and bones, sweeping over his entire body in an instant. His consciousness was violently yanked from the driver's seat by an invisible hand and thrown into a dark back seat. He lost all control over his body. Eyelids, fingers, breath. Everything no longer belonged to him. Yet he could clearly see and hear everything in the outside world, as if watching a first-person perspective movie. He saw his neck slowly and stiffly lifting up bit by bit. He felt the corners of his mouth curving into a cold and sinister arc. He heard a dignified, ancient voice with a metallic friction quality emanating from his throat. Shun, Tian, Jun's descendant,